Let's be real for a second. The days of HR just handing out paychecks and running interviews are officially over. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, organizations are operating in this incredibly dynamic, complex, and honestly pretty uncertain environment. It's a landscape that absolutely demands strategic thinking, a ton of innovation, and total agility. So we're going to jump right into understanding these contemporary HR challenges and how mastering them is the real secret to attracting, developing, and keeping a truly capable workforce.
Listen to this for a second. The greatest challenge for HR is not just managing people, but preparing organizations and people for a future that is constantly changing. That really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Modern HR is way past just basic management. It's not about just clocking in and processing forms anymore. It is quite literally about future-proofing your entire organization.
Okay, let's dive right into exactly what we're covering today. First, HR's dynamic new reality. Then, the 6 contemporary HR challenges, followed by the impact on organizations. After that, we'll unpack exactly what HR must do and wrap it all up with key takeaways for leaders.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, HR's dynamic new reality and how we adapt to this incredibly complex environment.
This really captures the big picture of what we're dealing with. HR professionals today are facing a completely multifaceted landscape. To actually pull off a win here, they have to design these airtight policies and programs that build capable teams, all while the ground underneath them is just constantly shifting. It demands innovation on a structural, foundational level.
Moving right along to Section 2, 6 contemporary HR challenges, or basically, the massive forces completely reshaping how we work.
So we can logically group these 6 huge challenges, starting with the macro-environmental forces. First up, globalization. Look, organizations aren't just competing with the company down the street anymore. They are competing globally, for talent, for customers, for everything. Imagine trying to recruit top-tier talent when your biggest competitor is literally on the other side of the planet. HR has to manage this incredibly diverse, distributed workforce and adapt to radically different cultures and laws, all while keeping things consistent globally but responsive locally. And then combine that with the second macro challenge, economic uncertainty. HR has to navigate inflation, political shifts, tight budget constraints, and sometimes workforce reductions, all while somehow keeping team morale high in a totally volatile environment. No pressure, right?
Next up, we have the workforce and talent challenges. Think about number 3, skills shortages and talent competition. The rapid pace of tech has created this massive gap between the skills companies actually need and what's out there in the talent pool. HR is under immense pressure to outcompete other industries, develop future-ready skills in-house, and stop critical staff from jumping ship. Add to that the 4th challenge, demographic shifts. Our workforce is more diverse than ever before. Right now, HR is managing a multi-generational workforce, from TikTok-native Gen Z all the way to boomers with very traditional corporate expectations. They're balancing all those different communication styles while actively promoting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and prepping for a massive wave of upcoming retirements.
Finally, we hit the workplace transformation challenges. The 5th major force is literally the future of work itself. Technology, automation, AI, they are completely changing the very nature of what work is. HR is in the trenches, redesigning jobs, figuring out how to keep collaboration alive in remote or hybrid setups, and trying to maintain a virtual company culture. And going hand in hand with that is the 6th challenge, rising employee expectations. Because today, employees want way more than just a decent salary and a ping-pong table in the break room. They are demanding genuine purpose, real career growth, fair compensation, and a healthy, actual work-life balance.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the organizational impact. Why do these specific challenges actually matter?
Now, what's really interesting here is how directly we can map the cause and effect. When a complex, dynamic environment hits a business, it instantly cranks up the complexity of managing your people and operations. When leadership demands objective metrics, well, that puts major pressure on HR to be incredibly strategic and data-driven. Technological disruption, that creates an immediate need for innovative HR tech solutions. And those rising employee expectations we just talked about, if you ignore those, you are looking at a huge risk of losing your best talent and watching engagement just plummet. Ultimately, this constant external shifting means an organization has to be continuously learning and incredibly agile. Failing to adapt isn't just an HR problem anymore. It is a critical threat to the entire organization.
All right, enough doom and gloom. Let's pivot to Section 4, what HR must do.
How do we transform these exact challenges into major opportunities?
Let's see how this builds into a clear roadmap for success. While we can't avoid these challenges, attacking them with the right strategy turns them into massive growth opportunities. The source material lays out 5 non-negotiable strategic mandates for modern HR. Be strategic, be agile, be people-centered, be data-informed, and be future-ready. Let's break these down real quick.
First up, be strategic and be agile. Listen, being strategic means HR absolutely cannot exist in a silo anymore. You have to align your HR initiatives directly with the overarching business goals of the company. But at the exact same time, you have to be agile. You need the flexibility to pivot quickly when things get uncertain without ever losing sight of those core business goals. It's kind of like being both the anchor and the sail of a ship at the exact same time.
Next is a huge balancing act. HR must be people-centered and be data-informed. On one side, you have to focus deeply on employee well-being and the actual human experience at work. But on the flip side, you can't just operate on gut feelings or good vibes. You have to be data-informed, leveraging hard analytics and objective metrics to make really smart people decisions. It's about blending deep empathy with hard evidence.
And the final mandate, be future-ready. Basically, surviving the future of work means you have to invest in it before it actually arrives. HR has to be proactive, investing heavily in skills development, new tech, and constant innovation. Because if you just sit around waiting for the future to happen to you, you are already way behind.
Wrapping things up with Section 5, key takeaways for leaders on how to embrace this evolution. So the absolute most crucial takeaway today is that all these contemporary HR challenges, they are completely interconnected. You literally can't fix a skills shortage without also addressing rising employee expectations and global competition. The most effective HR leaders get this web. They anticipate the change, they innovate the solutions, and above all else, they empower their people so the whole organization can thrive in a super competitive world. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative question straight from our source material to mull over for your own team. How will the future of work continue to evolve in the next 5 to 10 years? And exactly what should HR be doing right now to prepare for it? Think about it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep innovating.